Okay, welcome back to reviewers. I got a review video for you today. Winnie the Shit by Kelvin Green. Before we get into this, though, I just want to remind everyone and to let new viewers know this is what I do. I run games, I record myself playing those games, and then I talk about them. I got nothing against a flip through review, but sometimes I find a nice, slick looking book ends up not being what the money I paid for because there's nothing of value inside. Um, and then alternatively, these indie pamphlet type zine games that only cost a couple bucks are chock full of good things and are just fun to play. So if this is something that you're interested in, by all means, please hit like and subscribe and share the video, yada, yada, yada. So, people who've been following my channel know that I'm a big fan of Kelvin Green. So you already know that I think you should pick this up. But we're going to talk about it anyway. Winnie the Pooh is now, in the public domain, and of course, we have Winnie the Shit from Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Um, we had a lot of fun. We ran it. I ran it last week. If you look at the video, and listen to it, there's a lot of laughter. I got so into it, I actually ended up doing some goofy voices to go along with some of the characters the players encountered. They didn't explore the full module though, which is unfortunate because they missed some cool stuff. But all in all, it was a good time. Um, and I really like this module. I think it's one of his best. In all honesty, I think it's one of Kelvin Green's best. So, what is it? So, overview: it's like the Isle of Doctor Moreau meets the Hundred Acre Wood meets Animal Farm. Um, uh, Kelvin Green is pretty good at doing stuff like this, where he mashes some pop culture references together and provides you something that's unique and fun and just an all around good time. Like you're not going to waste the 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 hours running this adventure. Um, you get some factions, sort of, and I'll explain that. But this is another thing that I think Calvin Green does really well. I'm a huge fan of faction play because I think that's where you get a lot of role playing opportunities, and it just makes things interesting. Instead of just like, oh, we're gonna go kill and slaughter and maim, um, murder hobo shit. You can actually have things going on in the background that makes your world seem alive and moving. And I think that's where the importance of factions come in. So, um, probably one of the more detailed and in-depth modules I've read of Kelvin, aside from Terror in the Streets. Um, that's sort of like its own thing, in my opinion. But anyway, that's almost like a setting book, really. But anyway, there's a lot to do here in Winnie the Shit, and I think you're going to have a variety of things to do, and maybe even give yourself some multiple playthroughs with this. The artwork, as always, is great. There's something a little different about it. We'll talk briefly when we get there. And there's stuff in this book that you can carry on throughout the campaign. It's not going to be a one and done like, in my opinion, More Than Meets the Eye kind of is. Um, and then the layout is pretty good too. Like this is probably one of the better um, books and adventures by Calvin Green with the layout. It's just a really solid book. But so kind of getting into it. So themes, yeah. So basically, Dr. Moreau, Alexander Moreau, is this magic user, and he's decided that humanity sucks. So he's gonna create new men, and he created this ritual spell called that allows him to create these new men. And there are animal-human hybrids, um, and their program to take out humanity and make the world a better place. Well, they take it too seriously, and they actually lock him up. Edward Bear is the leader of the new men, and he's got Moreau locked up and forces him to make more. So there is actually a mechanic where it's like every day or so, more more new men are created. So there's going to come a point where, once you introduce this into your world, your campaign, potentially you're going to get overrun with new men. Uh, but yeah, so they start taking over, and things aren't going according to plan. Um, but but that's it. That's the gist. Um, so this is where the things aren't going according to plan. Is that there's sort of factions in here. Broadly speaking, they get the Men in Black make an appearance. I think they first made an appearance in Green Messiah, um, but that can be used as an adventure hook to get players here. Um, Obviously, there's Dr. Moreau who just wants to be freed so he can continue his experiments, and even that allows for an adventure hook. For my one shot, I connected it to Jupe Van Ooms, who knows Moreau, and hired the players to go and find him and figure out what the hell he's doing with this rare Russian bear. Okay, um, and with all of Kelvin Green's work, I should mention, there's a list of um, ideas for getting the players involved. I think that's a nice little touch that he does in a lot of his adventures. Um, but but yeah, so when you actually start going into the new men, obviously, if you're familiar with Winnie the Pooh, Rabbit is going to make an appearance. Piglet is going to make an appearance. The Woozle makes an appearance. Well, I don't know what it's actually called in the Winnie the Pooh story, but he calls it the Woozle here. This like horrific spiritual thing. But they all have their own motivations, and there's possibility for treachery within the new men, um, as they're trying to be better than humans, but some of them are falling short. They're so if your players aren't murder hobos like the ones I had when I ran this, then you can probably have some fun back and forth as your players sort of play each NPC off of each other. Um, uh, I gotta say Eeyore is like one of my favorite characters from the Winnie the Pooh stories, and Kelvin made him even more depressing. Uh, you'll just have to read. Uh, yeah, but but yeah. So and this is the stuff I really like personally. In my Lamentations of Elemental Evil game, um, I really dove into the factions in Hamlet and started having fun with that. Um, when the players start going into the temple itself, there are going to be factions in there that they can try to play off of. So I really appreciated um, the development for the NPCs here, and I gotta say, like, he's really good at this. Like, you don't need 7-page backstories for your NPCs, just a couple paragraphs at most to make them a little three-dimensional and give yourself or your game master, whoever's reading what you wrote, an idea of like what to do with them. You know, so definitely like my favorite part of the book. Um, Exploration, yeah. So here's a map of where everything takes place. There is a lot to do here. Like I ran a one shot, but this could have easily been a two shot. If the players are a little bit more finessey with the new men and talking with them and role playing with them, that could have been a three shot. Heck, this could have been just become a location in your game world where players come and go periodically to deal with whoever's in charge. There's just a lot to do here. Um, there's an old Roman bathhouse that's sort of like its own separate thing, um, but it's like something to explore, something new to do. You got the farm, you got Edward Bear's lair, and then the lair of Rabbit, which poses some unique challenges. My players like took one look at it and were like, "Nope, we're not doing that." If you've read Veins of the Earth and liked it, you're gonna like Rabbit's lair. It's pretty cool. Um, and as always, Calvin Green leans hard into the implied setting of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, and he, as you can see in this map, he tells you where to place it in England. You know, you're outside of London. I don't know where Hastings, I think I've heard of. Sorry, I'm an American. I've never been to Europe, but it's cool. Like you can plop this in and have fun with it in your 17th century role playing game, right? So the art rocks as always. I love Kelvin Green's style. You'll forgive me. I'm not much of an art critic, and I don't know how to talk about art, but I'm going to try right now. What I think I love about Kelvin Green's style is that it provides like a juxtaposition to the horror your player's facing. Running a Kelvin Green adventure is like sitting down and watching a gory but fun slasher film. You know, it might not be like a psychological terror like Event Horizon, or a lot of people like that movie Hereditary, or The Witch, but it's going to be more like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's just kind of fun. Like you're like, yeah, we're gonna go see Freddy Krueger, cut up some teenagers, and you grab your popcorn and have a good time for the night. That's kind of how I feel about his art, and it adds like a level of levity to the product line that helps actually define Lamentations of the Flame Princess. That juxtaposition between like that's I don't want to use the word serious, but like psychological, otherworldly terror, and then like this fun slasher thing. But this book in particular really shows that Kelvin knows what he's doing. He may think otherwise, but I think he's very talented. And his images like this here kind of evoke Ernest Howard Shepard. I think that's the guy who came up with like the original art of Winnie the Pooh, and he may have even written Winnie the Pooh. This goes to show you how much research I do. Anyway, but it just adds to the hilarity and the horror of it all. With this, once you realize Piglet, as you can see here, is willing to chop your face off, it's kind of funny, but also like, holy crap, this is a talking pig that wants to kill me. So, anyway, I really really appreciate the art direction for this book. So here's the stuff that you might find interesting, the most interesting from the book. This is why it's more than a one shot. There's some stuff in here you can use. The New Men, cool monster. I like things that are customizable, and these things are customizable. Um, he provides a table that you roll every time you encounter new men to see what kind of new men they are, which gives them a random ability. I love that kind of mechanics. They're 3 hit die. They're no joke. My players got lucky, in my opinion. They were playing second level characters, and they just played smart. They had a little luck. There's a the Woozle, like I mentioned earlier. It's like this weird psychological, spiritual, supernatural thing that's kind of reminiscent of the Guardian at the Monolith. Um, so have fun with that. Sadly, my players did not encounter it. I was hoping they would. Uh, so also you get is the spell itself to create new men. Um, and yeah, if the players get their hands on it, that's going to change things for your campaign. But it's there, and it also comes with a miscast table. So if you're a big fan of the Vaginas of Our Magic and Eldritch Cock playtest, alternate spellcasting rules, here you go. Um, there's an entire section dedicated what Moreau is likely to do if he survives and escapes. So you have an NPC villain. He's not as powerful as Calcidius, but he is someone that can reappear and pop up. And if you're like me and enjoy faction play and villainous NPCs, I mean that's going to provide some fun stuff for your campaign. Embracing sort of the randomness that LOTFP provides has been a real joy in my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign. Had Calcidius survived in that campaign, things would have totally been that entire campaign would have taken a different turn. And I think the same thing will happen if Moreau escapes in your campaigns. He's a cool villain, to put it bluntly. you're using the Men in Black, you know, they made another appearance, so your players can further solidify any alliance or working relationship with them, and that can obviously turn into more adventure seeds. And speaking of adventure seeds, this is one of the first times I've really seen this. Uh, uh, is where like these modules start to reference each other. Obviously, you know, Kelvin has written most of the ones that he's referencing, but there's tie-ins to Terror in the Streets, Beware, Green Messiah. There's actually an entire section on it. Uh, Fish Fuckers, and even potentially Brood Mother Sky Fortress, which is awesome. But they're nothing concrete. Just some nuggets for you to think about. You know, if you want to kind of weave a uh, a campaign together based off of Kelvin Green's work, or you're just trying to find a way to use fish fuckers or something. So but here's a way. You know, so very cool. So the layout, I don't usually talk about this. I probably should, because that it does that is a factor to consider when we're discussing the value of a product. The only flip through review, well, not the only, but one of the few flip through reviews that I actually appreciate are Grim Jim's commentaries. Um, and I think he's got some good insight, probably because he does a lot of graphic design stuff too. Um, so watching him has got me thinking. I should probably comment a little bit more on layout. So anyway, you get 47 pages. It's a hardcover. I like that. I appreciate what Grim Jim's sort of like overall opinion is. You should keep them paperback to save you money on shipping. But I think the hardcover's nice. It looks nice on your shelf, and kind of protects, gives your product a little hardiness. Uh, the book itself contains a summary list of all the motivations of the NPCs, so like it's just a quick reference. It also has a chart to tells you the location of all the NPCs for quick reference, and in the back there's an appendix with all the creature stats, which is really nice. I like these sort of quick reference things because it's quick reference. You're not flipping through the book looking for a stat. I should also mention, and I forgot to put this on here, a lot of those adventure site locations are, I don't want to say they're like one page dungeon type things, but it's easy to follow. You're all right there, the map's right there, and all the entries are kind of around the map. Very little page flipping, and I really appreciated that too. So, okay, $64,000 question. Yes, 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 yes. Buy the book. It's good. It's awesome. The PDF's only $8. It's 25 euros at the UK store. I don't know if it's in the US store. I should have looked that up. Um, it might be. I'm gonna do that right now, actually, while I'm chatting with you and recording this. Yep, it's in the US store. So, um, but yeah, I can't recommend this module enough. I'm a huge fan of Kelvin Green, and I think this is, honest to God, I think it's his best. Granted, I have not really dived into Terror in the Streets yet, but I'm eager to do it. So, but anyway, I hope you find that review useful. And again, if you did, please hit like and subscribe, bell icon, and there will be more to come. I have a couple more LOTFP reviews to do. I'm taking a new direction with the one shots. I'm going to kind of have it loosely connected to Jupe Van Ooms, so players can kind of have persistent characters rather than doing random characters every time. We'll see how that works. I'm still trying to put together a mini campaign using K Long and Modern Necessities by the Scrying Dutchman. That's been delayed. Ugh. And of course, I have my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign that is still kicking. So, um, if you have any thoughts, concerns, questions, recommendations for games for me to play or things to talk about, leave a comment. I'm all ears. Until next time, though. Oh, and I am recording this on December 16th, 2023. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. Take care.